Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and it's going to be a video updating you all on the, I guess, best or ideal pre-patch talent builds for Destro, Demo, and AF, and all that heading into pre-patch, and also talking about Destruction possibly needing emergency tuning when it comes to pre-patch, because there's a build that's emerged, which has been found by people in the Lock Discord, as Saldior, Malakath, Vocox, others. Magnify helped out. They're smarter than me. I can't write APLs, but this build has been found in the last 24 hours. I looked at it a little bit on stream last night. It is, you're spamming Rain of Fire in single target. So I found a build like this in Shadowlands early on, and it was fixed. This build might need emergency tuning later on today, being Monday, before patch goes live, or we'll see where it goes. So today, updating you on all those builds. Single target Destro, Demo, and AF. Demo and AF changed a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. Destro, a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend the build wholeheartedly. Now, a couple things before we get into the video. Number one, the Warlock Central Weak Aura has indeed been updated for War Within. It's in the Wago if you guys want. I pushed some fixes to Vital Taint, Soul Rot, and Singularity. If you got it a few days ago, I would update it now. If you haven't got it yet for retail, I would wait to import it until the patch goes live, because I deleted things like Siphon Life and Synergy and all that have been removed in War Within. But if you want a link to it, Twitch, Discord, links down below, you can get it for free. It is the Warlock War Within Central Weak Aura is indeed up to date for War Within. Also, update your add-ons before the pre-patch hits. They might get wiped, and have profiles saved somewhere just in case. Number two, if you guys want early access to the War Within beta spreadsheet for Warlock, it is indeed live on Patreon for the tier 3 Failguard rank or higher. Link up here as well as down below in the description if you look at supporting on Patreon. Number three, hit it on a good bit, but the MMOAwards voting is coming to a close here in a week and a half or so, I believe. If you want to vote for me or anybody, I am nominated for Content Creator of the Year. If you guys want to vote for anybody in general, link to it down below, as well as just MMOAwards.com if y'all want to do that. And yeah, let's jump on into the builds. Alrighty, so we're going to look very briefly here at Affliction, Demonology, and then get into Destro stuff, because AF and Demo, for the most part, haven't changed a whole lot from what we saw in the builds, we saw in the guides and all that. I'll have links to all these builds you see here down in this video's description. I'll go back and update the links in the actual guides themselves as well. So when it comes to Affliction and single target, I guess overall it is currently Destro, then AF, then Demo, as far as like best to worst raw DPS sims that are working in pre-patch. Once again, this is not War Within with hero talents. This is pre-patch. It hits on Tuesday. People in Lock Discord made these sims, updated APLs and all that. Once again, credit to them. They're much smarter than I am. I can't do it. I'm a Florida man. They can. So the highest simming build, what you're looking at here, basically, all these sims, except for this one here specifically, are hitting Oblivion on cooldown every 45, not holding for Singularity and all that. Now, you likely want to hold for Singularity in War Within when it launches in a month, but for now, in pre-patch, it looks like you don't. These two builds are the same. This build is hitting Oblivion on cooldown. This build is holding it for basically 1 minute with Soul Rot and Singularity. Now, this build here is Simming Death's Embrace, I believe, over Withering Bolt, but the build we're looking at here, number one, is actually this build right here. So we got the capstones right pretty much in the actual, like, guide video that came out a few years ago. The biggest thing here, we're not playing any points of Malediction in pre-patch. It looks to be. I think this is very different when it comes to War Within. You're definitely playing this and this for Wither with current tuning, but we're actually putting 2 points, or taking 2 points out, putting one in Improved Haunt, and filling in that last point actually down here, filling out both sides, Creeping Death, Malignancy, Xavius, Oblivion, and Malefic Touch, Rapture, Withering Bolt, Crescendo, and obviously Soul Rot into Malign Omen. For the most part, it plays the exact same way, barring just hitting Oblivion on cooldown versus holding it for your Soul Rot window of a minute. That's basically that. I have simmed a point here versus in other spots as well, but it's better actually just playing it straight up, not in Malediction at this point. When it comes to ST Cleave builds, now I haven't really simmed a whole lot of these builds because ST Cleave and AoE are AoE's, I say, pretty much set in stone. The Cleave build is right here, pretty much, for the most part. Now, when I say ST Cleave, I mean like a fight, like a single target fight with ads spawning every so often. I'm trying to think of an example here, but a setting like that, like Sarkareth, for example, which you saw ads in Phase 2, maybe a little bit in Phase 3, where you want that Cleave value if possible, but not all the time. You still want single target elements. We are playing AC everywhere. It's better than Siphon Life for tuning issues and all that. Now, this build here is customizable. You can move points around. We are playing 2 points of Malediction here. You could do this if you wanted. I don't think it's actually better than doing what we were looking at a minute ago here. But go here, and put this last point, like, you know, well, essentially here in Dark Harvest. You want a little bit more AoE cleave, but if I was going to change out of Malediction, I would likely just shift, or change, like, I guess, out of, try to get a point in Dark Harvest. I'd probably go like this instead. Stay here, go like this, and pull Visionary, being, you know, a 2-minute cooldown, getting it basically every 2 minutes, depending on kill times and all that. But, I mean, TLDR, the ST Cleave build not really changing a whole lot from what we saw when it came to actual, like, the guides on stuff. It's likely very similar, looking like this, but you can indeed play points somewhere else if you want a bit more, you know, AoE cleave with Soul Rot. If you're getting ads every minute, you could indeed play even like Death's Embrace, pulling out a Malevolent Visionary if you wanted it. It's customizable and flexible when it comes to being how much AoE you want versus how much single target you want. Now, when it comes to the AoE M+ build that I play this week, when the servers go up for pre-patch, I just play this personally. You can, excuse me, geez, you could play this build here, playing Drain Soul over Shadow Bolt, and you're playing Malevolent Visionary here, playing Sacrilash here as well, not playing it in these builds, obviously, because we're not playing Wither. You could pull this point out of Sacrilash and put it somewhere else. You've got a handful of points available down here, so if you wanted for a little bit more single target emphasis, maybe heading into Xavius, or sorry, Malignancy if you wanted here. You could even throw it over here, let's say an Improved Haunt if you wanted that kind of play style. But I think the best place for this point when it comes to like AoE builds, all that and plus, is likely keeping it here or throwing it over in Infirmity, which is probably pretty close without this being Wither in pre-patch, or tossing it right here in Focus Malignancy for a little bit more single target. But yeah, that's basically it. Links to these builds down below if you want. And going back to the ST Cleave build here again, we're not playing Oblivion here. If you want to do that for even more emphasis in single target, you can, but I went Malefic Touch here, and that was basically it. Now, when it comes to Demonology, what you saw in the Demonology video is basically what you're playing in single target. These were the sims that were run by everybody a few weeks ago, I think, roughly, give or take. I found a higher build today. I ran these both again today a few hours ago. This was the previous highest build here, 401,369. This is the build that I found, 403,364. About a 2k DPS gain. All you're doing, this is the higher build here, is taking a point out of Dread Calling and a point out of Ventorin, tossing into Umbral Blaze and Pact of the Mother. That's the only difference here, which might sound a bit sketchy, and honestly, I'm sort of feeling that same way too, because Ventorin's pretty solid. But I mean, you can look at the breakdown here in damage, right? Obviously, Imp Mother, more imps, so on and so forth. And Tauren further beefs your Thugard up. I mean, this is the higher build here with no Tauren. He's doing basically 12 million, 9.9. Here, he's doing 12, 14 million. But at the same time, your Tyrant's doing more in this build here from Pact of the Imp Mother. More imps in your Tyrant with RNG. He's doing 8.2 here comparatively to, where's he at here? 7.8. Your imps in the old build are doing 17 million. Your imps in this new build are doing 19.3 million. Plus, you've got Umbral Blaze being here somewhere. I think it's in Hand of Gul'dan. It's somewhere in here, probably. I don't know. The build isn't very good, but either way, it's in here somewhere. Adding a bit more into. So it's very, very close, honestly. If you wanted more consistency in single target, I'll probably just play this build here within Tauren and Dread Calling. There is RNG impact of the Imp Mother, but honestly, like 2k DPS is 0.5% when it comes to doing this much damage. Not so big of a deal. The margin of error is 200 DPS, so not even a big deal in the first place. If you want more consistency, just play this build here. But both are fine. That's what I would do and go from there. So this is the build here in single target. Once again, links down below if you want it. When it comes to playing Umbral, Impact the Imp Mother over Dread Calling and Tauren, which I'm a little sketchy, a little iffy on as well. I feel like it should be better playing this and this, but we'll see where it goes. We are playing Fire Dog everywhere still. He's better with haste scaling. Playing Doomguard and single target. All of that. When it comes to the ST Cleave build, so I've shifted... I guess we shift over to this build here for the most part. I haven't changed anything here. You can get some value out of Pact of the Imp Mother and AoE, but honestly, I don't think playing Umbral Blaze to get to it is worthwhile. So this is the same build I had in the ST Cleave build in the video. I'd say this build too for the most part, and just go from that. And when it comes to the M+ build here, it's very similar here as well. We are just basically moving a point out of Reign of Tyranny and a point out of Dread Calling and heading into Improved Demonic Tactics and Guillotine. If you want a bit more single target, pull out a Guillotine, go back into Reign of Tyranny for Tyrant stuff, which isn't a huge deal because we don't have Diabolist around for its damage amp yet. But either way, ST, Cleave, AoE, not a crazy amount changing at all in the ST build, and these two are the same that we had in the Demonology video. So links to those builds down below if you want them. Now, let's jump into Destruction and try and break this disaster down. Alrighty, so We want to talk about Destro here. So this build was sort of linked to me by magnifying people last night, I guess a couple nights ago, I don't know, on stream towards the very, very end. And it revolves around Power Overwhelming, which is not Affliction based. We'll show you that right here. And Rain of Fire with Inferno, because now there are some bugs with Power Overwhelming and Rain of Fire with Inferno and all that. Currently on PTR, some are on beta. I'm assuming PTR as well. Basically, Power Overwhelming gives you 0.5% mastery for each shard spent. This makes Rain of Fire cost 2 shards and not 3. But if I have Rain of Fire here, I'm going to get 3 stacks of this at 3%, not 2 stacks at 1%. So essentially, Power Overwhelming is counting Rain of Fire as how it used to be before this Inferno change came in and giving you 3 stacks versus 2. It's giving you the full 1% value and not 0.5%, which is what it says here. 1% was what it was at rank 2 out of 2 in retail, all the same. Now, putting all that aside, this synergy was found, which let people dig even more into these builds and such. These sims here are with proper working. From what I understand, Rain of Fire giving you 2 stacks and Power Overwhelming giving you 0.5 per stack. Builds have been found that you want to cast Rain of Fire in single target. So this build here, single target Rain of Chaos, Rain of Fire, this is the correct number. It is ahead of AF by I think 40k-ish. Destro's pretty high, 25k-ish here roughly, ahead of Demo by a decent bit. The build looks like this. Rain of Fire, Inferno, Pyrogenics, you're playing CDF and all this here, you're playing Power Overwhelming, Soulfire Decimation, Infernal, you're playing Rain of Chaos here because you have, the point is to build many shards in your Infernal, dump Rain of Fire as much as possible for a big stacking mastery buff. Rain of Fire does a lot of damage, just sort of stacks up and gets out of control. You can do it a decent bit anyways with Overfiend spawning, so on and so forth, and it gets even crazier every 2 minutes when you have your Infernal, Rain of Chaos and all of that. Going into the actual sim here, ST, Rain of Fire, Rain of Chaos, Rain of Fire. We can look at the sequencing of this, and it is, I'm assuming it'll be pretty wild. I haven't looked myself, but here's the overall damage breakdown. So you're looking at Rain of Fire being 9%, the Chaos Bolt from the Overfiend being 10.6. I will say it does indeed cast Chaos Bolts when you get Ritual procs because of GCD capping and all that stuff. But your main sources here are Rain of Fire, CDF, Soulfire, Overfiend, and Incinerate, 12.8 right here. Now looking at the actual cast sequencing, I can go down here. Where's your Infernal? Where are we at here? There's your Infernal, and here begins the Rain of Fires. Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire, Conflagrate, Rain of Fire, Chaos Bolt from Ritual proc, Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire, Soulfire, Shadow Burn. It does indeed appear to be worth Shadow Burning in single target, and the next build we're going to look at here, but it's actually Shadow Burning here, not for raw damage. It's, I mean, a bit, it's not bad in the first place, it's pretty good, but it's Shadow Burning to apply Eradication. This is a wild build. Rain of Fire, Chaos Bolt Ritual proc, I believe right there. Rain of Fire is a Soulfire proc there. Rain of Fire. This is outside of our Infernal at this point. Still casting Rain of Fire. It's Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire. Let me see. Can we see Ritual stacks here? You can see Ritual here. Yeah, Impending Ruin. This is a Ritual stack here basically. So Chaos Bolt consumes Ritual, and you're back to stacking. Stacks here. Yeah, Impending Ruin right there. So you're basically casting Rain of Fire in single target, casting Shadow Burn to maintain Eradication if it's not up whenever your Chaos from your Ritual that applied Eradication falls off. And that is basically it. It is a pretty crazy sequence of events. Now, the next build here, the single target Rain of Chaos Chaos Bolt build, this build does mostly cast Chaos Bolt in single target, but there is some Rain of Fire play still. It's not that far behind. It's behind by about 7.5 to 8k, but we'll open it up here and show you guys the difference. So compared to the last time around, this build here, single target Rain of Chaos, Chaos Bolt right here. So the breakdown, there is Chaos Bolt. We're looking at 14.8%. This is Overfiend Chaos Bolt. This is basic Chaos Bolt. Rain of Fire is sitting, I think, right there at 1.1%. You can see Shadow Burn's 9.2. Now, the cool thing about this build is that showing the actual talents here, this is the old build we were looking at with pure Rain of Fire spam. This is the new build we're looking at right now. This build plays Shadow Burn. It plays Blistering Atrophy, so it more increased damage of Shadow Burn. I was curious if Shadow Burn would be worthwhile in single target. It seemed okay-ish after the 80% buff that it got, testing it on PTR, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be like worthwhile. I said to wait for Sims to be coming out in a day or two. Here we are. It looks to be worth it for the most part, casting it in single target. So sort of cool in a sense, gives some mobility, but at the same time, I'm not really sitting on stacks of Shadowburn very long for mobility. But either way, that's the big shift here into Shadowburn Atrophy and shifting into Improved Chaos Bolt and Chaos Incarnate, pulling out of Ruin and Diabolic Embers comparatively in the AoE build here. Also not playing Inferno, and that is that. This is playing, this build's playing this over this. Anyways, back to the breakdown here. So rotationally, this build does indeed just, for the most part, press Chaos Bolt, even during your Infernal. Unless, you can see the first cast here, where's Infernal at? It's right there. The first cast here is actually one of the few. It's going first one to be a Rain of Fire cast. And if you look at here, it is because of the shard count. So you're sitting at 4.5 shards here with your Infernal down, with resources flowing, so on and so forth. It's casting a Rain of Fire to dump shards here. Because once again, this will trigger Power of Whelming. It's likely already active here, I think, probably from the Shadowburn cast. Probably active. Let me see if I can find it. Should be. Yeah, right there. It's already active right there from this cast. So you're getting 1 stack to 4 stacks right here. Then you can go into the normal Chaos Bolt dump, right? You're dumping bolts here. You're not sitting at 5 or 4.5 shards. Sitting at 3 shards, dumping a bolt, incinerate up to 2.5, casting a bolt here, conflagrating, casting a bolt here with a ritual proc, so it's basically free. Incinerate, shadow burning here. If you notice, Shadowburn's cast essentially on cooldown. 12, 18, 25. If I search Shadowburn here, like it'll be throughout most of this thing. 31, 38, 44, 53. It's cast essentially on cooldown for this entire profile, entire APL, whatever you want to call it, sequence here, right? Besides that, there are a few Rain of Fire casts, not a whole lot, but we can find some of them here. Like, there's 2 at the start, I believe, essentially just, once again, avoiding capping on shards. 8 seconds in, it's being cast here at half a minute, because once again, 4.8 out of 5 shards. Cast again at 209 during our Infernal with Rain of Chaos at 4.5 shards, dumping shards. Again here at 216, capped on shards, dumping shards, right into a Chaos Bolt again here as well. And then a bit later on here and there, so on and so forth. But it's not casting Rain of Fire over and over and over and over in single target, right? This build is, and this build is essentially 7k-ish DPS better than the Chaos Bolt build. So if you're trying to min-max things a crazy amount and all that, or want to spam Rain of Fire and single target, we're going to look at it in a minute here in combat. Go for it, have fun. You can do it. It's likely going to be nerfed. They're probably going to nerf, have to like either buff Chaos Bolt more, which probably should happen in the first place. Look at Rain of Fire's damage, look at shard generation to fix this somehow, but it might need some emergency tuning because this is going to be a little wild for a handful of reasons. The damage is high, the shard gen is high, all of that, and we'll look at it here in combat actually to show y'all. But the cool thing is casting Shadowburn essentially on cooldown for the most part. This build's pretty cool. Even casting it here every once in a while. All right, so we're gonna look at this in combat real fast here. I've done it once or twice already, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. So a few things I want to point out here before we do it. Number one, like I said, this is bugged. It's giving 1% per stack and not 0.5. It is at rank 2 rank, and pre-patch, I guess. They didn't fix the ranks, I don't know. It's giving 1% per stack, not 0.5. Number two, Inferno, it makes Rain of Fire cost 2 shards, but casting Rain of Fire will give you 3 stacks of Power of Whelming, because old Inferno didn't change the shard cost of Rain of Fire. It was still 3 shards. So basically this is double bugged, but even with that being taken into account, the Sims still account for this being 0.5 and Rain of Fire being 2 and not 3. So the Sims show what it should work like functionality wise, but it's actually bugged doing more in game than it is in Sims. So you can play the Chaos Bolt version, which I'll probably play if it actually goes live, but this version is probably a good bit better, spamming Rain of Fire, because you can get a lot of stacks of Power Overwhelming. Keep in mind, this does not reset duration when you gain more stacks, but I've got a weak warrior that shows this icon right here, and it pops up. It also pops up over here. Let's see how high I can get my stacks here. And I'll do the opener in general, right? So the opener is Soulfire into Conflagrate, Shadowburn, CDF, Conflagrate, Shadowburn, Infernal, Rain of Fire spam. You're going to want to cast Shadowburn to maintain Eradication, and Chaos Bolt Ritual procs are spent as Chaos Bolts. If you didn't follow that, don't worry. Neither did I, but it shouldn't matter. This is pretty dumb. So we're going to cast a Soulfire. I got a Conflagrate next, it looks like. We're going to Conflagrate, cast a Shadowburn here. Go into a CDF, hope for a Soulfire proc. Did we get it? We did. Perfect. Conflagrate. We're going to Shadowburn again. Infernal's down. Rain of Fire, Soulfire, Rain of Fire, gonna Conflagrate, Shadowburn once for the road, need to get my buff up. Cool, we got a Soulfire reset cast stack. Gonna go Rain of Fire, Rain of Fire. I should have cast down a Shadowbolt there, but whatever. We have a 10 stack of Power of Whelming. 13 stack, gonna CDF here, hoping for a Soulfire proc. There's a Ritual, we got the Soulfire, cast that, gonna Conflagrate, gonna cast Rain of Fire, gonna cast Rain of Fire, a Ritual proc, gonna cast a Chaos Bolt here, gonna Incinerate, Conflagrate, Rain of Fire, 14 stack of Power Overwhelming, Rain of Fire, Incinerate, Rain of Fire, Soulfire, Rain of Fire, CDF, we're gonna overcap maybe here. No, we're okay, Rain of Fire, cast a Chaos Bolt if I can. Probably should be Shadow Burning more, I sort of forgot, doesn't really matter. Soul Burn, whatever, Soulfire, Rain of Fire. I don't know what's even going on at this point, man. Like, but the damage is really high. The damage is really high, man. Soulfire is pretty high. We got a lot of pretty crazy resets there. Rain of Fire is here. Chaos Bolt in the sim was around 4%, so we should have cast a couple more here. You want to cast your Ritual procs as Chaos Bolts and not Rain of Fire, from what I understand. Honestly, man, you can just hit buttons to this build and it's pretty crazy. It doesn't half matter. I'm not going to sit here for an hour learning it because honestly, it's probably going to get fixed. If it doesn't, the opener is Soulfire into Conflagrate, into Shadowburn, into CDF. And here, there you go. There's your opener if you want. Rain of Fire spam, Weave, Soul Burns, cast Shadowburn to maintain Eradication every 10 seconds or whatever, and have fun. This build's wild. Probably gonna get nerfed. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. I told you that build's pretty wild. I didn't find it. Once again, credit to Lock Discord and everything else. Power Overwhelming is bugged and all that, and so is, I guess, Inferno with Power Overwhelming. But even with that being the case, the sims are not taking into account the bugs, and it is still pretty good. So like some tuning needs to come, whether it's like changes to Soulfire or just Shard Gen or probably Rain of Fire tuning, a handful of things. We'll see where it goes. I wouldn't recommend the build wholeheartedly because it's probably going to get changed and nerfed, like either today, being Monday when this video goes live, or Tuesday or sometime this week. But either way, if you want to play it, it's there. I play more of a normal single target build with Chaos Bolt, but if it's there, or it is there if you want it, if it changes, I should say when it changes, I'll let y'all know. Once again, if you guys want the Warlock Central Week Aura for War Within, or any Week Auras add-ons and profiles you saw in the video, links to Twitch and Discord down below. I'll free for you guys if you want to go grab them there. At the same time, one huge shout out to my patrons. Like always, we're in the video. For all support on Patreon, y'all. Like always, thank you a million times. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the video description. And also heads up, the War Within beta spreadsheet is indeed live on Patreon for Tier 3 Failguard rank or higher, but it does indeed go live before the expansion launches regardless. It's just early access now if you want it. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. Like I said, I mean, if the build lasts until Tuesday when pre-patch hits, I'll probably end up playing a little bit, but I mean, honestly, it's pretty convoluted, and I don't see, like, if it was ahead like 100k, yeah, I'd play it, but it's pre-patch. It's obviously good in AoE with like Power Overwhelming and things. We'll play it there, obviously, with Inferno, but like when it comes to single target, I've seen sims like with semi-regular Chaos Bolt builds being pretty close to it. I might just play Chaos Bolt builds if I even played Destro in the first place, but we'll see where it goes. I'm excited for pre-patch. It's coming soon. I'll be streaming it when servers are up, and yeah, War Within, the actual expansion launch is close, guys. So hopefully y'all are ready, because I am as well. I don't know what I'm saying there, but either way. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all again soon. Peace.